What's your favorite album cover? Almost as old as the concept of the album itself, album covers are an incredibly important aspect of the musical experience that serves a whole bunch of purposes. Firstly, it brands the artist, giving them a distinct visual identity and aesthetic, oftentimes being the audience's first point of contact with the artist and therefore creates their first impression. It's a form of creative marketing, sometimes showing the artist's name and the name of their record, and through the conventions of genre, an album cover usually speaks to the audience it's supposed to. When it comes to design, the possibilities are endless. Maybe it identifies the artist or artists themselves through portrait photography or something more unconventional.
I'm a little concerned you can't read the name of the band.
And there's no photo of Bob.
Or it becomes a canvas for a creative artist or photographer to envision their interpretation of the album and its themes. As the art form of music videos has evolved and expanded as its own promotional tool, these two art forms work hand in hand and often complement each other, with music videos drawing from the aesthetic of the album cover and vice versa. It creates a consistent identity for the artist and expands upon the storytelling and world building in their music, expanding upon themes introduced or just giving fans more to enhance their experience. But something that rarely happens in the synthesis between both of these mediums is when an artist recreates their album art in a music video and shows the story behind the iconic image. Now, I'm not talking about something like, say, Tyler the Creator's video for Tamale off his Wolf album that does this just because it looks cool, or maybe I'm just assuming. Or Joji's Window video, where he recreates the Will He single art and both of the In Tongues covers. And yeah, he's smoking underwater. Don't ask questions. I'm talking about something closer to Graduation, where Kanye's trilogy of albums starting with his debut, The College Dropout, symbolize him and his journey through the symbol of a bear college mascot. His mother Donda was a college professor for most of her life and believed college was a ticket to a good life. And so for Kanye to name his debut album The College Dropout, in her words, it was more about having the guts to embrace who you are, rather than following the path society has carved out for you. And even in his chosen musical genre, he was an unconventional artist, bucking the popular trend of gangster rap at the time, with references to gang violence and machismo, by making songs about Jesus, fashion, vulnerability, and more that was largely unheard of.
Got a light-skinned friend, look like Michael Jackson. Got a dark-skinned friend, look like Michael Jackson.
The three album covers tell the story of the upward trajectory of his career, starting from the photographed mascot and culminating in the triumphant career and genre-defining record, Graduation, imagined by a revered Japanese artist, which is loosely depicted in the video for Good Morning, directed by the artist Takashi Murakami, showing the bear character going through a pretty rough morning as he wakes up late on his graduation day in the futuristic city, Universe City. I know, kind of vague. Before receiving his hip-hop degree from Dropout University.
Oh my God, bro.
But as awesome as it is, we don't see the album cover recreated aside from a good idea of the story behind it. Okay, what about Beyonce's Lemonade? Her famous concept album that confronts her husband Jay-Z's infidelity. The album cover is taken from the video for the song Don't Hurt Yourself, where in an underground parking lot, Beyonce leans against a vehicle, covering her face in an act of vulnerability, as she gains strength for her attack, like a boxer in their corner between rounds. And that's what this song feels like. A right hook, left hook, uppercut combo.
What the do you think I am? Tonight I'm f***ing up all your for you hurt yourself.
By the way, Billboard rated this album cover the 99th best of all time, lower than her self-titled album cover.
Huh?
Wait, this is what they gave number 1. Wait, the Abbey Road cover's number 2. Biggie's Born to Die covers. Okay, you can move on. But my favorite and probably one of the best recreations of an album cover of all time, that shows not only how the album cover came to be, but also illustrates the story and the thematic focus of the album, has to go to Foster the People's brilliant, underrated second album, Supermodel, with the accompanying video, Best Friend. Yeah, okay, to get out of the way, you probably already know this band from their hit song Pumped Up Kicks, but there've already been millions of videos about that song. But that song was the lead single off the band's debut album, Torches, an electronic-driven indie pop record which had its fair share of hits and artistic music videos, like the meta Houdini, where while filming the music video for the song, the band is crushed in an on-set accident to the dismay of the record label. Plus they have a performance the next day, so the management comes up with a plan. Reanimating their bodies with the help of robotics and stuntmen, basically making them puppets, and it's a huge success. Their fans don't notice a thing. It's a great video, where the frontman Mark Foster's lyrics meditate on the suffocating feeling of pressure, and everyone watching them with high expectations, comparing himself in the band to the famous escape artist, Harry Houdini.
Sometimes I wanna disappear.
Yeah, it still bangs. Also, fun fact, that video and another video from the same album were directed by Daniels, the Oscar-winning directors of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah, kind of explains the quirky vibe. But the album cover for Torches, made by the artist Young and Sick, who would return to make the art for Supermodel and part of the artwork for their 2020 EP, depicts an interesting group of characters. Supermodel takes a different approach, and I'll explain everything going on in this artwork after we take a look at the music video. A story following the life of a vapid supermodel, the video opens by showing the title of the video and band with the cornerstones of the young woman's life. Magazines that dictate the impossible, unrealistic beauty standards she must adhere to, and magazines in the media are a big theme of this album. I'll come back to that later. And the pills that she uses to both escape this fake lifestyle and sink further into it. It's a tale as old as time. The supermodel feels inadequate because of the industry she's a part of and the intense competition. And to stay on top of it, she literally starts consuming other models, absorbing the aspects of them that she finds desirable as a result.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Her star rises because of this. But if you take a closer look at the magazine headlines, and trust me, I looked at the details, you see just how strange and alienating they are. Melissa Stetton's Guide to Killing People, Change Your Style. Plus Scientology and my dad talking about the movie Heat. I mean, it's a classic, what more is there to say? And instead of being called Vogue, this magazine's called Vague. Fashion Week Do's and Don'ts and the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And then it gets much darker with headlines like Get a Hotter Body in 2014, We All Die Alone, The 19 Best Ways to Drink on the Job, The Person You Love Is Never Coming Back, How to Enter the Void, Find Out How You Score in... All of these represent the kind of consumerist culture that continuously pushes the narrative that who and what you are is insufficient, and that conveniently there's always a product to fix that. It's also why I think everything is sort of jumbled together in a pretty surreal way, because it's all noise and distraction without much meaning behind it. But also, damn, the editorial teams of these magazines are really going through something, I guess. In a song that serves as the final track on the album for those who pre-ordered it, Tabloid Super Junkie, a reference to the song Tabloid Junkie from Michael Jackson's History album, and in a funny kind of shared trait between the two albums, both were called their respective artists' angry albums.
You've also called this your angry record. There are some dark tones.
Slightly taken out of context. I was saying, there's some songs when I listen to them now that I was like, wow, I was pretty angry when I wrote those, but it's not an angry record.
It shares the same subject as Michael Jackson's song, our obsession with the sensational, the media, and how it can serve as a distraction from larger issues and its hidden motives.
Magazine looking back, I think a junkies are just fodder for the global elite. Do you think you have a choice when you're eating and sleeping in all the noise?
It's clear that it doesn't matter what you do, are, or how much you consume. In the eyes of consumerism and capitalism, it'll never be enough. And as a result, the supermodel becomes a CGI monstrosity that barely resembles a human.
And so I ended up actually writing the song about writer's block. And so there's kind of a dual meaning, whereas my best friend kind of being, I guess, creativity. And at that point, it was pretty strung out.
His writer's block could be perceived as a form of paralysis because of his want to create something perfect, like a supermodel is perceived to be. Something that satisfies the fans of the first record, to make a hit, whatever, but his relationship with his best friend, creativity, is one that's ultimately rewarding because, as Mark Foster himself puts it,
once you say, I don't have the words, you're out of writer's block. And So simple but so profound, and so that's what I did.
At a fashion show, our supermodel breaks down backstage, and another model, take very close note of her dress, hears her cries and comforts her before she's eaten to. Of course, I mean, what did you expect to happen? Then when the supermodel appears on stage, completely stretched and distorted beyond all recognition of her being human, to the horror of the audience, at the peak of the stage, she vomits the dress of the lost model she swallowed, with a poem on it, as the album cover is almost perfectly recreated. I mean, even the wavy arms are in there.
But because we were going to call it Supermodel, it was really important for us to create a piece of art that redefined what that word meant. This girl vomiting in a back alleyway, being surrounded by photographers, kind of capturing this moment of weakness, this moment of sickness where you don't want to be around anybody. We're living in an age where everybody kind of views themselves in some way, shape, or form as a supermodel, that we're putting on a face that we want people to see, but it isn't necessarily the face, the honest face of who we are. And we're basing our self-worth based on how many retweets we get, how many likes we get, how many followers we have, how many friends we have.
It's an image that's been seen in cinema time and time again. You know, the irony of the ugliness of the beauty industry, and an image Foster the people themselves have drawn attention to throughout their work, like in this lyric from their third album, Sacred Hearts Club, a metaphor for decay hidden by opulence.
Yeah, you're walking into the littles, but your nose is bleeding out.
But going back to that dress with the poem that the supermodel throws up, we can see it in full on the album cover, written by Mark Foster. Let's start with the fact that the model ate a poem that starts with the line, "I ate it all." It's a pretty deliberate irony and a compelling image given that many models have their diets intricately micromanaged and controlled. It also sets the tone for the rest of the poem, which paints a vivid picture of artificiality and toxicity, plastic diamonds and sugar-coated arsenic. Snap goes the moment. A photograph is time travel, like the light of dead stars painting us with their warm Titanic blood. Just like the supermodel being photographed in a rare real moment here. This line is about the illusions we buy into, much like gazing at the night sky where some stars appear vibrant, despite the fact that they've already died. Well, some of them anyway, because of their light being delayed due to the distance and speed of light. Parasitic kaleidoscopes and psychotropic glowworms could refer to illicit substances and the temptations one can fall into, particularly in that lifestyle. And aphids sucking the red off a rose is a visceral metaphor for the model's loss of life, which is met by two contradictory following lines. But for beauty, I will gladly feed my life into the mouths of rainbows. And it's important to note that the word chosen here is feed, instead of something like trade, which, like the Best Friend video, paints the industry as animalistic and destructive. And then it says, their technicolor teeth cutting prisms and smiling benevolently on the pallid hue of the working class hero. This contrasts all of the vibrant imagery we've seen so far with what the poem describes as the pallid hue of the working class hero, which is a word that means pale and dull. This description highlights the working class's suppression, rendering them nearly invisible, characterized only by the markers of their status. Paradoxically though, traditional heroism in the way we tend to think of it, with traits like bravery and defiance of malevolent authority and so on, seems incompatible with the working class's perceived dullness from the perspective of the elite, which would make a working class hero unexpected and undesirable to some degree. I mean, think about it. Without spoilers, Miles Morales and Peter Parker in separate universes and games have shown that they're willing to go against authority and stand up for what's right according to them. It could also be a reference to the John Lennon song Working Class Hero, where he takes a more cynical and sarcastic approach to the idea.
Soon as you're born, they make you feel small by giving you no time instead of it all. Till the pain is so big you feel nothing at all. A working class hero is something to be.
This theme is explored throughout the album, with one of my favorite lines being in the opening track, "Are You What You Want to Be?", which questions this tension between conformity and rebellion. He says he's afraid of saying too much and ending a martyr, fearing that standing up will bring him nothing but trouble and no change, but that he's just as afraid of facing God and saying he was a coward, basically being forced to live with the endless regret that he could have done something. You could say that the album's theme could be summarized by the chorus of this song.
All these things I went a revolution. These things ask the biggest question to me. And it's are you what you wanna